Hey, I'm Nick Williams. I want to talk to you about something that is real important. This is important to me, and I think it will be important to a lot of you or somebody that you know. And maybe you can forward this video to those people. It's about being alone. And I'm going to speak on my personal experience on this. But I also have a reference point that I think it's important that you understand. I worked with, I still have a business, but I'm not working with individuals like I used to because I have people that work for me that work with individuals. But I spent a good 15 to 20 years working with seniors, sitting down with seniors on a daily basis. I'm no medical professional, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm stating that I am, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in medical professionals on certain subjects such as this. So I'm going to share with you how this evolved with me, and I'll share with you, I'll say and how I cured it, but I haven't cured it. But I do want to say that you're not alone being alone. That's for one thing. In my business, where I would meet with seniors quite frequently, every single day, every single working day of my life, all day, every single day, year after year after year after year after year, I would sometimes become their best friend, and I was just working with them. A lot of seniors are alone. And then there's different types of being alone. Are you alone, or you just don't have a partner? And that's more where I would fall now. I don't have a partner. So at the end of the day, I find myself alone frequently. And I feel it. It doesn't feel good always. So, and then there's a different degree. It's like having a burn. First degree burn, second degree burn, third degree burn. Some people just don't have a partner, and that they can be alone. Some people don't have a partner and friends. Some people don't have anybody to speak to. Like, they have no friends. Their family, some ungrateful kids. I won't say just ungrateful kids, but there's a lot of ungrateful kids out there. Don't get me wrong. But just because of the way things have evolved, people don't have their children around. My children have moved away. I unfortunately had a son pass just several years back. So COVID came along, isolated people. I have a bunch of things here that I want to make sure, points that I want to make sure that I address. And so that I give as much information as possible on this. So that you could be alone, or you could have nobody, or you have nobody to talk to all day. You don't speak to a soul. So I live in the Southeast. I'm from the Mid-Atlantic. I lived in California. I've lived in different states throughout America at different times. I have a good, aside from working with seniors who may find themselves alone, but I've been around this country. So I have that reference point, and I do know that there are some people, again, I'm kind of repeating myself here, so forgive me, that have nobody to speak to. Children move away. I told you that's what happened to me. My children have moved away. And again, I've had the unfortunate, our family had the unfortunate loss of one of my youngest son. The neighborhoods change. And I'll tell you something, in the more modern version of neighborhoods, even in the outlying areas where people are more tight-knit country folks, and I know those people. I grew up in Baltimore, and I grew up with neighbors and knew everybody. But I would venture to say in that same neighborhood I grew up in, that there are those same people live in those same houses that I lived in, and I lived in a bunch of houses. So those same people, I bet, don't have the relationship with their neighbors that I had with my neighbors when I was growing up, or that my parents had with their neighbors as I was growing up. My father knew all the people on the block, and people yell at each other. They get in fights with each other, hopefully not physical fights, but they all knew each other. But they had, there was interaction. Now it's a Facebook group for the neighborhood, right? And by the way, this can be a gradual process, or it can happen suddenly. I would say with myself, and I'm going to give you a little bit more of my experience here because it is very relevant, and I do find myself alone. I do find myself, shall I say, a little sad at times because of that. And I say a little sad, maybe it's worse than that. I don't know. Sometimes it's we are often, it's easier to analyze other people, I'll say that. Again, children move away, friends move away, neighborhoods change, COVID came, isolated people. There's data on this. I'm not going to throw a bunch of statistics at you, but pre-COVID, post-COVID, totally different worlds. Totally different worlds. And the level of depression, anxiety, in all age groups, and I will say this, it used to be the older age groups as people got older, and I used to say this, that older Americans experienced anxiety at a greater level than younger Americans. But now the age group that has the greatest anxiety, and you can look all this up if you'd like, data-wise. It's easy, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever it is you use, Gemini, Andromeda, one of these AI things. You can look this data up. It's not always accurate there. But I used to say that older people experience anxiety and depression at a higher level than the public in general. Now, after COVID and after all this modern political world that we live in, younger people have a higher level of anxiety than older people. That was not the case before. And again, the neighborhoods changed, so the drugs, it used to be more in the urban thing. Then it's the suburbs with the fentanyl and everything. If anybody knows the story of places like specific locations in like West Virginia, where they targeted these communities with oxycodone type drugs, and we know exactly how it happened. It was the Sackler family, I think the Sacklers, and they got a marketing company to determine how am I going to distribute more of my drugs, and they said, find these communities and push them there. Devastated communities. I could go off on a tangent there, but let me come back. And again, COVID changed lifestyles. So even in many businesses, people don't go see people as much anymore. So that's a problem. So whereas you may have had people that would come to your home for different things. Like when I was a kid, the insurance agent came around all the time. They were there. Oh, not in my house, but I know in many houses. At my grandmother's house, the insurance agent came by every month, every single month. You don't see that as much now. Again, neighborhoods change. They change so dramatically fast that you don't know who is in the neighborhood anymore. People have mobility issues. They can't get around. And I started to say this can happen gradually or quickly, because you could lose a spouse, or you could have your health or your spouse's health, or something of that nature that will cause you to lose contact with your community. And I know because I have a great reference for working with seniors, and I am a senior. I'm probably not as old as you, though. I'm a young senior. But I had a client that she took care of her ex-husband who became ill. She is more than a saint. And she took care of this man who left her years ago, and she said he needs somebody. She went and took care of him and picked him up when he fell down and stayed with him until his death. Many people would say this is insane, but she needed 2 shoulder replacements because she picked him up so much. And this woman has a wonderful family, and they are tight-knit, and she did not become isolated. She lives right next door to her son, who's a great person. So that the isolation didn't happen to her, but that same situation imposed on another person could wipe out their social circles. Again, health issues, mobility issues, family issues. Some people will stand by a family member to the bitter end and it will isolate them. Oh my goodness. You're still young enough to date, right? But the dating's an app, swiping left and right. There's so many issues. People build a life on the internet. And then they've become so focused on the internet that one day they wake up and they say, well, really, I'm not talking to anybody. And if their friends if they don't have friends that, and it can happen suddenly that 1 or 2 friends that were really tight, maybe they could pass away or maybe move away or get in a relationship. All of a sudden, things can happen fast. I run a business from home. I have a business. In my business, I probably have somewhere in the range of 400 people that I could communicate with on any given day. I have a tight-knit group. My daughter works for me. The people that work for me are friends, but I don't talk to them face to face. I'm not giving them a hug every day. Even my daughter, she doesn't live here. She lives, several hours away, but it's far enough away that at the end of the day, even if I spoke to her on a Zoom call, see her pretty face, I can see my grandson in the background, and still at the end of the day, turn everything off and I'm alone, I'm going to cry. I'm not going to cry because, as I said, there's different degrees of being alone. I'll use that analogy. There's different degrees of being burned. It can be severe. I would say even though it doesn't feel good at times, it's not severe as some people who I know these people. I've met these people in the course of, in business, seeing them several times over a period of a month when you're conducting business, to where I became one of their better friends in their life, that they count on me, they hug me. I've had people tell me they love me, and you know what? I care equally about them and love them just as much. I've taken my children to visit with some of these people because they became important to me. And some of these people are all alone. And then there's the church factor. Some people don't go to church like they used to. And I'm not saying church is good or bad for you. But I'm saying that is a community outreach and a community inclusion thing that you can't deny. So, this running a business from home is very, very real. Texting, email, WhatsApp, Messenger. It's just endless communication, but no interaction. It moves us away from physical interaction. Relationships are less permanent, right? So people get divorced. People don't get relationships. There are these groups of men and women, both guilty, that don't even want to get in a relationship, brag about the fact that they're not in a relationship, and then I bet one day, unless they have a good social group, they say, man, I'm all alone, right? I can't see the logic and the wisdom in saying I don't want to be in a relationship. But again, I don't have the experience of every other person. So I'm not here to, shall we say, put judgment on any type of thought process. I'm just saying we have a phenomena in this country that is difficult, and I'm going to give you more of what I believe, what I'm doing, and not that I have all the answers, but at least we promote, and I do have answers, by the way, but I don't know that my answers would fit somebody else, and I'll get to those. I don't know that we're headed in the wrong direction. That's for damn sure. Again, people don't get married. They don't want to get married, some of them. They celebrate being single, and then one day they find out they're all alone. People drink by themselves, get their bottle of wine. I call it they get their baba. And I've done it myself in the past, where it's like, maybe try to trick your way out of this situation. That's being too honest. But and here's the thing, you can get people that like that, and you can join that group. I've done that too. So, and while I'm there, I will tell you that one of my very best friends, who is a great person, one of the nicest people that I know, and this is a guy that he and I worked together, we've done things together, and we would hang out together. But all kidding aside, I can dive into too much excess, alcohol and a few other things, maybe. I'm not incriminating myself, but I can go down that path, and it's not a good path for me. So I've had to at least one, I would say my very best friend that I would call up and say, hey, let's hang out. I've had to completely just remove from my life, because when we get together, it would be like childhood buddies, even though we are not childhood buddies, but we act like we are. I remember, as a matter of fact, with this individual, because we're like two peas in a pod, and it's like throwing gasoline on a fire with us. But we're in our 50s, I would say mid-50s at the time, maybe not that old, but maybe. And we're drinking too much, and we get to trading punches like kids. And I remember my buddy's wife calls me at the end of the day and says, Nick, what did you do? Her husband had bruises all over him. And I got up, I looked in the mirror, I had bruises on me too. So, and besides, if you're not going to sleep on the couch, are you going to drive home and then you're intoxicated? Can't do that. So I have to stop, because I couldn't take the gasoline off that fire. So I had to basically be, again, I'll say that actually, talking about that makes me a little bit sad. So, there's a lot of stuff. These, again, I'll go back to neighborhoods. It's not what it was, is it? Now, there are some places that are some communities where everybody's tight. It's not all communities, though. Some people are scared to walk out of their house, and communicate. Now, I want to tell you a little bit, and I've got notes. I'm making sure I go through every point I have here, because I've taken time to think about this, and I want to give you everything I got on it. maybe not everything, because I don't want to be here forever, but I do want to touch on these points. Again, that COVID was brutal. That COVID was devastating for relationships. In my situation, again, I have children move away. I nurtured poor relationships. I had to sever some relationships. And when I say I nurtured poor relationships with women that maybe I shouldn't have gone down, or I went down to that rabbit hole too far. And I'll tell you something. I think there were a couple relationships I should have been a better person in. In other words, I believe at the end of the day that I was the problem. I think I should have not been looking for perfect, if you will. I don't know. I don't know how to put all these things in words always, but I feel like I failed. So and that's the one thing that I will say is, and I'll get to that. Okay, I'll get to that. And here's the thing. I don't make a lot of effort to create friendships. I don't do that. I don't go out of my way. Some people, I have a brother that he'll come over and he'll fix your air conditioning unit on Sunday afternoon because that's what he does. He's got so many friends he probably has too many friends. I don't know. But it's true. He will give you the shirt off his back. And not that I am not very helpful and very loyal, and I feel like I've been a very good friend. I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. There's probably one or two people feel I do owe them something. I don't. I feel, but I don't go out of my way I haven't gone out of my way for friendships. And I haven't put effort into it. And I think that's the way to say it. Maybe if you're going to have a friend, you need to put some effort into it. I've never put effort into that type of thing. My friends just came naturally, and I didn't, maybe that's why I don't have the plethora of friends. And I think as people get older, again, the friends, they tend to filter off. So if you're not reloading that chamber, putting new friends in there, you might find yourself in a situation that again, because of the lack of effort alone, could lead you to be a bit isolated. So I'm fortunate, and as I look at my situation, I have a great community, okay? And I have people, probably if I needed somebody, I could find somebody here locally. I do have somebody that I could call, but they'd be like, it would be kind of weird because I'm not in constant touch with people. I've never felt that need to be in constant communication. Again, I've never felt the need to maybe reach out to other people because maybe they needed it. And I'm just like not making I haven't made an effort like that to maintain relationships, calling people up, seeing how they're doing. I do have several people I talk to almost every day. I have my children, and I communicate with them very, very frequently. I have a brother. He lives in Texas. I live in South Carolina. I talk to him all the time. Sometimes too damn much. So that's I was going to say that's a problem. That's not it's the end of the day for me. That's where I feel like I need a little bit more. And I'm that person that if I have one good, like if I'm in a relationship with a female, see how many type of relationships I entertain, but if I have a relationship with a female, that's kind of sort of all I need. So that's been and this is maybe a point to make. If I have a relationship, I don't need a bunch of friends plus the relationship. If I had the perfect mate, spouse, whatever, I probably would not. And again, this is where, notice I say the word perfect. That's a problem, isn't it? That I would even say that. If I had a partner in this life, a woman, I wouldn't really be, that's all I would need, because I'm not the type that needs to hang out with my buddies. I don't hang out. I'm not going to go to the bar or something like that. It's just not my thing. So my immediate advice to the person that finds themselves in a situation, perhaps like I'm in, or worse, because if it's a burn, mine is a very superficial skin burn, I feel like. But I want to be honest. And that's one of the things. So my immediate advice is to find purpose. That's what I'm doing right here, right now. And see, I have a history, a background of with this type of medium for communication that has enabled me to have great success, phenomenal success. And this is good for me. This gives me purpose. This is something I can think about, and then I can do it, and I feel accomplishment in it to communicate with my peers and maybe contribute something. Purpose is important. I'll go back to Viktor Frankl, and Viktor Frankl is he was in a concentration camp, and he was in a Nazi concentration camp. He wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning, and basically, this is a book that I read several times over, and it meant something to me. And that was the meaning that you have to have significant purpose. And what he said was the people that were in those concentration camps that had a purpose, a reason to get out of there that was greater than just I want to be free and I want to live, but maybe they had a greater purpose, that they seemed to be the ones that did the best. So I would say seek purpose. I would also say gather your assets. I have children that love me and that I love. I have family members that love me and that I love them. And, so I can't, again, my situation isn't dire, but it is real, and I don't want to downplay it. I sometimes, at the end of the day, do feel alone, and it does make me feel bad. I don't know, feel bad or sad or whatever, but let me tell you, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. There's another component to this. Are you alone, or do you just not have a spouse or a partner? And I touched on this a little bit, but I would say that there are many, many, many people that do not have a partner that don't feel all alone. As a matter of fact, some of the better people that I know, older people, they never sought new relationships after the ending of a relationship. And usually this is if their spouse passes away. My stepmom is in that category. She just, her life is full. My father died years ago, and she didn't have the need to run and find a relationship. She was older. She probably would have been like, if somebody would say that to her, she'd probably look at them like they were weird for telling her she should be in seek another relationship. Some people are fulfilled in the relationship, that one relationship, and that one relationship was meaningful. It had purpose. It brought them family, and it made them stronger. And then when that relationship was over, they're done. They don't need they don't need another relationship. Other people do. Maybe they're younger, but even younger people, there are some that don't need that another relationship. So understand the difference between being alone and not having a partner. So it's quite significant of a point to make there. So again, I'm going to go back, and I crossed this off the list of what I want to go through. But gather your assets. Who do you have? Write it down. Say, this is what I'm working with. I am a member of the church. I do have that. I do have several children. Maybe you have some assets there. I call them assets, kind of not the way to classify friends or community or whatever, but I'm saying it in that way for the purpose of itemizing what you got going for yourself. So write it down. I have great associates that I work with, people that work with me, and we work together almost every single day. Sometimes I get tired of talking to them, and but at best, it's on a Zoom call. So I still you don't get that connection there. So there's that. And I actually have people that work from my home that I let them go. So, and those people were friends. But for business reasons, I moved on. And, so, you could say that I kind of, in many ways, dug my own grave. So you make your bed, you lie in it. So all the assets you have, clubs, charitable organizations, and maybe you could say, well, maybe I ought to add a club or charitable organization to it. Maybe I ought to reach out to so-and-so, my brother, sister, cousin, friend, neighbor, right? So I'm one of those people that sometimes don't want to meet the neighbors because then I got to talk to the neighbors all the time, and then I find out that wait a minute, I'm not buddy with my neighbors. So that's stupid, isn't it? The asinine thinking that we have sometimes. I was talking to one of my neighbors the other day, and for like 15, 20 minutes, maybe even more, I don't know. But it was a very good conversation, and I could nurture that and be more on point to communicate with the neighbor, because there's a genuine desire to communicate there. And so make an effort. Maybe I should make an effort, is what I'm saying. Not you, me. I don't know. Maybe when you see him, instead of like, hey, driving by, stop and roll down the window and say, how's it going? Make it short, because you don't interrupt people but too much. But then you'll be more likely to maybe be over there actually having a social gathering. So shall we say. I'm not the best at this. I would also say that you should, and this is very important, again, you're writing down what you should do here, okay? You can write it down and you can't, but I would write it down. What is seek purpose, find something that means something. Gather your assets. What are you doing? I mean, no, I do this when I do a lengthy video, and this is getting lengthy. I start fumbling the words there a little bit. Gather your assets, write them down. Put purpose as an important point in your life. I need to seek some purpose, which could be, when you look at those assets, that you do nothing charitable, you're involved in no clubs, you don't help anybody, you do nothing for nobody. then you find yourself all alone and you wonder why, right? So, on a more serious note, there are some people that have health situations that are just terrible. So I don't know exactly what to say to you other than reach out in any way you can. Seek help, okay? Seek help. Some people have physical conditions, some people have mental conditions. And who am I to try to give somebody advice in those situations other than seek help through therapists, community organizations, perhaps medical professionals. And I say therapist, there is a difference between a medical professional and a therapist. There are guardians that I forget the name of it. Is it guardian ad litem? But anyhow, I've never been involved in that program, but there are people that will come and just help you get your affairs in order, and they get certified to do this, some of them. So there's that. Get healthy. Get as healthy as you can be because you'll feel better, and this is critical, okay? If you walk, maybe you should put more on yourself than just the walk. If you don't walk, well, walk. And again, I want to back up to the people that can't get out there and just walk around. And that's a problem, right? So, but I'm talking about the people that are able to do so. Make an attempt to get healthy. And it's not about going back to, turning back to the hands of time. But if you just get healthy to where you can feel your best, maybe that will project out to other people, make people more receptive to you, make a more warm person out of you because you're healthier. That is, and I don't think that I know this. The objective there would be feel as best you can, physically, mentally. And physically does synergistically affect mentally, okay? Understand that the situation that you may find yourself in may not be something that you can resolve quickly, okay? So don't expect it to rain friends upon you just because you say, I need to do something, and then you do something, one thing, and say, where are the friends? So maybe drop, and again, I don't want to get into some, shall we say, preaching thing here because it's definitely not meant to be that way. Maybe drop a bad habit that is causing you to be isolated. Maybe you need to get off the internet so much or something like that. Put the baba down, the bottle. So some people need to maybe make themselves a better prospect as a friend, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. People are isolated. It's a period, and younger people are isolated. So, of course, older people who are losing people because of health issues and death, right? And their own health issues or the health issues of others. Their best friend may not be in a condition to be able to get out anymore, but younger people are also isolated. The whole dating app thing. There are groups of people that are younger. Maybe reach out to some of your younger family members, see how they're doing, because they may not be doing real good. So don't throw politics into it. It's not necessary. I say that to some people it is necessary. And if that's how you feel, maybe that's the direction you should go in, right? So I'm going to end it right there. And I appreciate you, and I wish the best for every single one of you people. Just as I would for any member of my family, I want you to do well. And that's where I'm going to leave it.